Yo ho ho. All right, sending that email, done. Just had to reply. Someone was like, on me. And then it's like, okay, I reply to them. It's the 10th week of the PhD. Usually, like, semesters go for 12, 13 weeks, maybe even 15 weeks, right? You're pushing it. Most of the time, students are getting everything done within the first 10 to 12 weeks. And then they have, like, exams or their revision week. Nonetheless, I'm, like, totally aware of what it is that you can achieve in a 12-week period, 3-month period, right? I look back at all of my achievements and the things that I've done, well, or the lack thereof, and I can't help but feel a little deflated. However, that said, though, the nature of what I'm doing and stuff, these things just take time, and the outcome isn't really known, seen, or materialized until much later. Right, so with how I feel out of the way, let's go through and talk about the PhD. So 3 things. The first being the DIGRA meeting. So we had this article presented to us. This is the Magic Circle article, right? Or at least the original article that this visitation of is about. And so DIGRA, the Video Games Association, recommend this article for the reading group. The reading group's later this afternoon. I attempted to read this article. I'm familiar with the idea of the Magic Circle, the idea that, like, play, how we play and things like this, like being able to get into the mindset of play, basically kind of happens in this magic circle. You step into the circle and you play, and the play world is in there, and you step out of it and you're in the real world. This article, however, I tried to read it, and you know, it's only very short, 15 pages, but if you just read the introduction and the conclusion and not the whole thing, it's like, I couldn't figure it out at all. I was like, what the fudge am I reading? But we persevered with it, got a better understanding. We did use the latest model of ChatGPT, right? So I'm not sure if I can pull it up. Set all of this up in advance now. So yeah, I had a really good conversation with ChatGPT about it, and they explained a lot, and I was able to take a few interesting things with me. However, that said, though, like, 2 things I want to say about using ChatGPT. First is that I'm going to save all my conversations, and I want to talk to the university about what they feel is the situation with using AI to help you learn. I've not really been involved in those discussions at the university because I've been a few steps back. I've only heard stuff, but not enough to be definitive. So my plan is to keep all my conversations and only to use ChatGPT to help learn, not write. I pride myself on my own writing and my own ideas. So I can be fully transparent about how I use the tool. I'm looking forward to going to the DIGRA meeting so that way I can learn from my fellow PhD candidates, although they're at respected group of 8 universities, to see what it is that they feel about it. But I picked up a little bit. The second thing, moving on then, is the supervisor forms. So we had the potential to get an additional supervisor on the team, someone who's familiar, a young person, a Swiftologist, someone who's all up to date with what live streaming is and Spotify stuff and all this kind of stuff. It was really cool. However, basically, from what I understood, they were due to contact me this week if they were available to do something, and I didn't hear from them. So I just filled out the supervisor forms anyway, and now the process has started. So it's just arbitrary university process stuff, but it goes from me to the supervisor to the college to another college to a decision maker, and then back down through the ranks, and then it comes to you. And so far I get an email. It's like, this step's approved, this step's approved, this step's approved. Just bear in mind that my supervisor was the Dean of Graduate Research. So the person who signs off on these changes is that person, you know. So, and now I've just got someone who's not down, but just further along horizontally in the org chart somewhere else, and just let it all like work out. But we couldn't get that other person officially on the project, and I haven't met with them. And so basically, it's like I haven't taken any offense. However, guys, you just got to appreciate that the people who want to work with you and stuff are going to make themselves available. They're going to have enthusiasm. They're going to try to track you down because it's something that they want to do, you know. And then people who don't want to do stuff just won't. And you can't get weird, or to borrow from streamerisms, like parasocial with things. You just let it go. All right, so we didn't get them. That's okay. I don't really care. The reason why you might detect any frustration is because you put time and thought and energy into things, and if it's a dead end, it's like, that was a waste of my time. And if you're a speedrunner in particular, you'll understand I spent time on that when I could have been spending time on this and getting the PB or whatever. You know, you have to learn from these things. And as you get older and wiser, you begin to learn like what's going to work and what isn't, what's going to be a waste of time and what isn't. And I'm not saying that this person is any of those things. What I'm saying is that we couldn't make it happen, and this form and this administration is overdue. So I'm just going to do it. And that's how the cookie crumbles. The third point with the PhD is more reading. So I came up with this way of doing like a reading workflow that I want to kind of institute on the stream. And I'll talk through that later because we got a slide for it. Let's talk about gaming. We did Yakuza. Yakuza was good. Let's see if I got like a video of us playing it. How about this one? Yeah, so we were playing Yakuza here. And basically what happens is you go through this fight sequence bit here, right? And the game starts streaming because you stream playing it, the emulator or whatever Microsoft has cooked up here. And the visual quality is perfect, basically. And the audio, look at me, you can't see me here. Can you? I'm hiding behind this microphone. I had no idea I was like that. It's hilarious. But basically, you get this micro stutter in the audio, and it just sucks. You know, I can't do it. The only way to fix it is to close the game and then start it again. But Yakuza is not the type of game where you like auto-save at the boss fight, at least not this one. You know, so there's a lot of time loss and immersion breaking, and Yakuza is all about telling a really fantastic story. And you just want to go for that, you know, that J-drama experience with the game, as well as a beat 'em up, bust 'em up, you know. So I'm going to start Yakuza again, probably today on the PlayStation. That's Kiwami 2. So we did Kiwami 0, and now we're up to Kiwami 2, and then we're going to progress on to the newer games. So I'd love to do a playthrough of the originals, you know, proper. However, it's like I'm not that much of an aficionado yet. We started our Hades runs again as well, which was pretty good. I got some decent times. I have no idea if something's going to show up here, maybe not. Oh yeah. So we started doing our Hades runs, and this was what the other day when I was listening to Lex Friedman's podcast on memory at the same time. Look at my time there, 6:04. Oh, can you see it? Not really. It's a 6:04, so I'm about a minute off at that point for like stellar performance, unless some kind of miracle happens later in the run and then you can make up for it. But we started Hades again. A couple of things I want to say. I've said this a few times on stream, but it's worth going over. Like, speedrunning Hades on the controller, you probably gonna get like a RSI if you don't play right. That's repetitive strain injury. So for me, I'm trying to be conscious of how I'm playing, so the intensity of my presses, if I'm over pressing or mashing, and if I'm like stressing myself. Then I'm trying to take more breaks. However, this is a challenge. This is a challenge because it's a skill being able to play over and over and over, right? So taking a break seems like the antithesis of this. So I'm trying to find a balance there. And the third thing is I'm trying to, without deconstructing the game fully and reading every guide out there and getting into routing and things like this, that's where for the beating the game as fast as possible, you know everything in advance and then you just follow along and go left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, and then you go. You know, I like the variability and the randomness and the unseeded, unmodded, glitchless. This is how the game is. You pick up, you play it, you win. That's what I like about it. I like how you need the right luck, and then you need to have the skill and I don't know what you would call it, but like just the being. You need to be the player at the time with the skill when it's there, when you have the luck to win. I love that. And it all comes together and then you win. It's really good. My goal, so we spoke about goals when I was doing this on stream, and basically I just kind of like to do all my accomplishments again. So all my sub 10 unseeded, unmodded, glitchless speedruns on like any heat, so heat 9, and 32 heat times and 40 heat times. That's what I'd like to try to, because we did all of this and a lot of those things are on footage. Some of those things aren't, sadly. So now that we're in the PhD, reproducing it would be cool. I don't know if it'll be possible, but I'm gonna try. And we're doing this until we get a copy of Hades 2. Hades 2 is out, but I'm not playing it yet on PC. I would like it to come to PlayStation. I would like to do it PlayStation the way that I did it. You know, that would be cool. Then we played this game called Remnant 2. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it. It is on Xbox, right? It's this game here, Remnant 2. So what's like interesting about Remnant 2 is we beat this game in about 12 and a half hours. A viewer and I, subpar, is like a regular. Sometimes you see his chat on my stream. All right, nice enough guy. We played on just a normal difficulty, and I did not spend any skill points or really use any items in that playthrough. I played the dog character. Yeah, that guy with the dog. And for a first playthrough experience, 12 hours, I don't know, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. The bosses were my favorite part, learning them and having to do it. The Souls type, Destiny type coming in together worked pretty well, I feel. But yeah, I don't remember seeing any of these people. I don't even know what any of this stuff is. Anyway, I saw the Remnant 1 trailer and it looked like the Remnant 2 game, so I don't know. Anyway, it's done. It's done. We beat that game 12 and a bit. You know what I mean? I enjoyed it. Let's talk about the stream. So there was this thing that came up. So basically, there was this thing came up, some website called Rent Free, and people allege here on this website that certain famous streamers are viewbotting, right? And that means that they have like computers watching their stream that counts as people, and the actual people who are watching their streams is much lower, right? So I've got 2 viewers right now when I do this. It's not a popular segment. My stream's only very small, you know, with 7 viewers and on average, and we've had a peak of 68 on Kick viewers, to be like fully transparent. Anyway, so I saw this thing about the view bots, and like I don't really know what to say about it. I looked into the site. It didn't really seem that reputable, but it could be legit. Maybe they get their information from somewhere. Maybe they just wanted to stir the pot with it. I'm not sure. I don't want to be a bad I don't want to be bad press for Kick, right? I've done my 2,000 hours on the platform. I'm approaching them at like 1,500 now. I'm getting there. Right, I don't want to overquote myself. But yeah, you know, with my goal to do my 2,000 hours and dip is my way of being able to experience the platform and see what's going on here and learn things and practice streaming and all sorts of stuff. So seeing these bigger streamers who produce content and these allegations about viewbots and all this kind of stuff and these websites, it's just a reminder just about how fickle and flippant things are in the streaming game, particularly on this platform, sadly, at the minute. Now, the second point I've got here is a reflection on the content that we've been doing, right? So there's this big temptation to do a lot on the stream because we're going to dip and it's all going to be over, you know, YOLO. However, this connects to the PhD because we applied for the stipend. So that's another scholarship where you get a little bit of money every week to support you while doing this, right? And I kind of just want to do nothing until I find out if I'm going to get some money or not. I don't want to start something and then hope that I get money. And I don't want to start something and then get the money and then that changes everything. And I don't want to start something and the opposite and you don't get anything. You go, wow, this is unsustainable or whatever. I just want to kind of chill. It's 30 days, right? That's a pretty big thing. That's actually a pretty big thing. We may as well put in there. That was actually last Friday though, but we'll just put it in here again. So I'm being like contemplative on my content, and I also have to acknowledge the fact that like the RPG campaign is kind of like totally on the back burner at the minute. I just got to sit down and make it. But when we play it and what we do with it, I'm not sure. However, this NFT invite thing with the array is very interesting. So for those of you who don't know, the array in Darwin is like this government-backed gaming thing. They have like a tech school and a working space and like this esports situation where they're like doing all sorts of really cool stuff, right? And there was a big government pitch ages ago, and Gary's House of Content was like, I'll help you, I'll help the government build this thing, and they never contacted me or whatever. They contacted who they wanted to and all these people. Anyway, fast forward, these people who got the backing, I'm not salty about it. I got to do my own thing. These people are all getting paid to do all this stuff, right? So that's their jobs and their livelihoods, and this is their castle or their little empire or whatever it is that they're building. This is their contribution. My contribution is my own thing, doing my own thing. All right? We just all live in the same town. I'm the local, don't know about these guys. And who cares? Doesn't even matter. What matters is that gaming in Darwin is growing, and that's the coolest thing ever. You know, I do my thing, they do their thing. But they contacted me, someone of them contacted me. They apparently contacted me on Instagram. And then they got fed up and contacted me by email. Anyway, they were like, can you do NFTs? We heard you do NFTs to do an NFT exhibition type of thing. And I haven't done anything with that in the longest time. Right, so I just confessed that and said I could. But I don't really know what you're looking for or whatever. But I can, maybe. I'm happy to keep the conversation going. But they've already got a whole bunch of stuff. And like, that's not me. These are the same people who were like, can you, when they did the big video game convention, they're like, can you come and stream it all for us? They were all getting paid and compensation and rewards and name and lights. And they're like, can you do that for free for me? And I was like, no. Well, I initially said yes because I was just being a good guy. And then they were like, no. It is worth noting that they've already got streamers and gamers and esports people and stuff already on their roster that they're looking for. You know what I mean? So I don't really know why they're coming to me at all. I've got no idea. So, yeah, there's that. Like, if they had chosen me from the very beginning, things would be very different. But they chose those people and they're doing that. You know what I mean? I'm doing this. I made the life that I wanted where I get to hang out at home with my dogs and play video games all day. And keep studying at uni because that's what I kind of like at this stage of my life. And it's going to be cool to get a PhD and to help make games and play at my local university, or maybe help with esports coaching somewhere else or something later down the line. We have no idea where this career is going to go. Maybe we'll make our own video game. Who knows? I've got a technology background. You know what I mean? I can do this. We got ChatGPT. And I've got artistic skills too. Many other skills that start with A. So let's cruise through these things. Slides. So yeah, we still stuck on this thing. What is eliteness? But we did have a conversation with ChatGPT. Right? What was cool about talking with ChatGPT is that I was able to basically, where is it? Let's go to this slide here. Where I say make clearer and make nested on this side, just behind my webcam here. It's this idea that like, I kind of need like a mind map to draw it well, but let me just kind of put some circles together, just, and another shape, just to kind of point it out. So we've just got these three shapes, right? And it's to basically say like, each shape is a different intellectual domain or discipline in the academy. And I was talking with ChatGPT and it's like, look, my thesis is interdisciplinary. My approach needs to be interdisciplinary. The questions that I'm asking, these game studies questions that I'm asking can only sort of be done this way. But I was struggling to know if there was like a hierarchy. So if it goes circle, circle, then triangle, or if it goes, this circle is connected with that, and then go circle 1 to circle 2 to triangle, or if it's like triangle and then these two other fields connect to it like that. I don't know if this is coming across to you guys, but I was just like with ChatGPT, help me organize my thoughts. These disciplines here connect to those disciplines there, and then my thesis is arguing this, and this is going to be in anthropology maybe, or sociology, or, you know, is this a narratology question type of thing? And it was just extremely helpful because now I know the discipline that is best aligned to the factors. And from the discipline, we'll get the methods and the theories, and then we'll be able to craft things appropriately, which is super duper. So the past week then, I've just been like learning about particular things to help me get going with my reading, because I've got so much reading to do. Not only do I have the reading to explain what's obvious to me, I've got the reading about the methods and theories, the literature review overall, the games and genres style literature review that my supervisor would like me to do, as well as the literature for the 5-factor model. There's these specific searches to do now, like conversation theory, ludology versus narratology, to narrativizing of games, and other aspects of the model. There's this interesting thing that came up from the Lex Friedman podcast, where they talk about this guy, Adam, or doctor probably, professor maybe, most likely, someone, Adam Ghazali, attention training through video games. I thought that was fascinating because it's like, you know, you got to learn these games, but then you learn sort of, let's just call it like meta skills that you carry with you into other games and other aspects of life. How's this all work, you know? So that was cool. And then based on the Homo Ludens reading, it was like challenging. So when I was talking to ChatGPT just says random stuff about the people. So I was like, who's the author? Who's the original author that this guy is revisiting the article of? Not that I remember it off the top of my head. Remember, guys, I'm not a memory kind of dude. I'm a processing kind of guy. I'm like, I got a powerful memory, but I just like to soak things in, concepts and thinking, and then spit it out and go, moving on. Tomorrow's challenge is nuclear fusion, or whatever it might be. So he talked about this semiotics and symbology He was the guy was like a researcher of these things, and aesthetics and aestheticization of elite performance in gaming is something that immediately came to mind. And I was like, what are the symbols of elite gaming? How do we know this and see this in symbology and in aesthetics? And that concept over time, I give the example of a gamer called Shroud, right? Because he's a famous gamer who has his own mouse, and his own mouse has its own, his product has his own aesthetics, its own designs, its own uniqueness that help you go and look at this and go, that's pro gaming or whatever. You see this and know it materialize through these symbols and through these aesthetics. This one particular elite gamer, and hence elite gaming overall, as like a concept and idea, I kind of found that fascinating. All right, and then finally, play is an anthropological category, effectively, that shapes culture and reflects culture. Was very fascinating. What was interesting talking with ChatGPT was how ChatGPT tends to talk about a lot of stuff around things because it doesn't really know precisely what it is that you're asking. So when it talks around things, it will give you some interesting tidbits. Some interesting tidbits for me were like how back in Europe, back in the day, to keep it colloquial, it was like playing and stuff was only for the elite and the upper class type of thing, because everyone else was like peasants and they were meant to be working and stuff. And it was seen as like, I might be misquoting, but like a higher form of culture that was only for certain types. And now to say that play is more universal and part of the human condition type of thing was hugely challenging, hugely challenging. Probably at that time, people were thinking like they were God's chosen or whatever. And, you know, it was not even 100 years ago that even in our own country, in Australia, we were like, those people are animals. They're not actual people or whatever. So times and concepts and things change over time. And it was just fascinating to go back in time with that article. I can see that article being important and definitely site-worthy and everything else. It's going to help with the legitimization of game studies research overall, because that's kind of what I have to do and posit. I would like to talk about, let's just make some notes, right? I would like to talk about something here. Sorry, I got like an itchy nose. I don't know what's going on. How to do this? Sometimes I wish I just had the iPad so I could just draw it, right? Well, I can draw, but I draw with a mouse. It's probably going to be yucky. Oh, that's not terrible, right? That comes up, kind of. A little challenging to see. Maybe I'll make the background like black. If I can, thank you. Or at least a darker gray. Yeah, so the idea, the PhD is basically, because it's an artifact exegesis thesis, right? So there's exegesis thesis, and then there's the artifact. So there's kind of like, I'm going to put this down here, and then this on this side, right? So the final output, let's just call it equals completed PhD, is basically like over here, this is 50,000 words, right? And the artifact, sorry, someone's doing some heavy machinery stuff. I don't know why. So I apologize for that. There's 50,000 words on the exegesis and the thesis side. The exegesis is a reading of, a reading into. So a good easy example would be like with the Taylor Swift research, there's a lot of exegesis of her lyrics, a lot of exegesis of her, of what she materializes and produces, right? they read into it and they speculate and they tie it all with existing literature, media, music research or whatever it is, and they try to join the dots. And my reading into it is going to be reading into my artifact, right? Which is stream game life. Let's just call that stream game life. All associated content. And then finally, let's just say specially made content for the purposes of the PhD. And basically what it is that this stuff here, right? And this stuff here, this exegesis comes from my artifact, right? It comes from my artifact. And I have 3 years to make these artifacts for the purposes of the thesis and the exegesis. And what's supposed to come out of the thesis exegesis? Well, that's like the SOC, right? That's the significant original contribution to knowledge. That is basically, you'll do a reading of the stream and all the associated content and the specially made content, and then you should walk away with an appreciation of the 5-factor model, with ideas about elite gaming and all the ideas about the literature and the state of the field, the thesis-y type stuff, right? And my challenge is to effectively make artifacts and find artifacts that other people's accomplishments and YouTube videos, and maybe even Stroud's mouse as part of the exhibition, to show what elite gaming is, if that makes sense. And then we're going to read into all of these things and say, how does this connect to the 5-factor model? How does this connect with the literature? What does this tell us? And separate to the artifact, right? So there'll be mine, which is made with some kind of intentionality, and that's my order ethnographic aspect. Then there will be everything else that's made by everybody else. But this is separate to interviews and research surveys, which is just additional evidence that goes into the thesis component, right? That's supposed to help inform the model. Yeah, so there's a little bit of backwards and forwards there. I am aware of perhaps this methodological conundrum of trying to make something that conforms to your hypothesis that you can come to know elite gaming through this 5-factor model. And you're going to make artifacts that show this intentionally, right? I'm aware that there's a kind of conflict there because it might not actually reflect what is true in reality. But here's the thing. The character rival Gaz that I play is trying to be the elite gamer. The real Gaz, me, is someone who can get a wonderful speedrun time on PlayStation 5, right? And as someone, if I was playing like X-Define or something like this, maybe I could become good at those games too. I got the talent. So there's an authenticity there, and there is this inextricable nature of due to the order ethnography of someone who's trying to be a good gamer and someone who's trying to be good streamer type of thing and do all this kind of stuff. And you're just going to go and say, okay, that person's outputs by virtue of them being them, of course it's going to help corroborate this story. Or it might not. Or it might actually not. When you go back and you review all the footage and you see all the stuff, and even though this person was trying to make it like this, it's like that. So what is an example of this person was trying to make it like this, but it's like that? Let's just say if Michael Phelps, big swimmer guy, was involved in a study, right? And it was about how Michael Phelps swims super fast. And it turns out that the 0.1% difference in this case is actually nothing that Michael Phelps did other than to wear a special type of, what do you call it? Swimmer's cap that keeps water off of his hair, right? And he might not even have hair, but it's just like, actually, this little bit of plastic is the 0.1% difference that makes him a little bit faster. And it's like, that was revealed as an outcome of all of this footage that we have of them swimming. We were able to bring it down. So even if Phelps's intention was to be like, I'm just going to try to be the best swimmer and everything else, and it's like, isn't that a conflict? It's like, no, it's actually the only reason why the study is possible. And it actually turned out that him doing his little ritual first and then trying extra hard wasn't the 1% difference. The 0.1% difference was actually the swimming cap. Maybe that's something that gets seen and shown through my own attempts of doing it, and failures too, right? When we go back to that Lex Friedman podcast, they were talking about the high error rate. Let me take a step back. The podcast was about memories, so memory scientists, and they spoke about things like false memories, the remembering self, the living self, how we, the concepts of like error rates and making mistakes and learning, and then memories in youth and memories in adulthood, and the realities or the philosophical questions around memories and all this kind of stuff. It was truly fascinating. I really enjoyed it. But the point being is that, like, I've just lost my train of thought. But that, guys, look, let me just wrap it up, because I've been like yapping on now for like 40 minutes. And the PhD recap for the week is we did blah, blah, blah. Come on, get it together, man. We did the reading. It was confusing. Had a wonderful conversation with ChatGPT, learned a lot, right? And now I've got further directions to keep going. And we're going to meet with the Digger people and have those GO8 PhD candidates tell us what's good. We did the supervisor forms, which is great. And that's all in the works. The second supervisor who came through and made mention, we couldn't contact them. So I'm moving on. And then I realized that I've got to do more reading. I'm going to institute a process of getting more reading up. I've got to get a printer for that as well. Oh, there's a printer on campus that I can use. We started all these new games, and I'm getting more serious about my speed running. And we also like reflected on the stream. This is probably a good point for me to talk about, like, let's just go walking cam here and wrap it up, right? This probably be a good opportunity for me to talk about what I want to do moving like forward. Because in the past weeks, we spoke about trying to do vertical content, right? And from what I understand, Twitch is doing a lot to make the app more social. So it might be possible to do verticals there. But basically, the plan is, in the meantime, I'm just going to try to enjoy myself for the next 30 days to avoid the scholarship anxiety, and whatever happens, happens. I'm prepared to not get it. I didn't get it in the first place. I don't expect to get it the second go around, even though it was kind of promised to me first go around. I'm just proud of myself for picking myself up and trying again. And if you fail, you fail. But that has a load, right? And so I'm just going to take the next 30 days easy. We're going to do our 2,000 hours on Kick, which is about, it requires streaming 8 hours a day, 7 days a week in order to get that complete in time for Starlight Children's Foundation, which is in August. So we'll be going to Twitch for that. And then after that, I'm thinking I'd like to explore vertical content and vertical streams. And from what I understand, YouTube, potentially Facebook, and TikTok are the places for it. So this is kind of like the longer term direction. In the short term direction, guys, there's some games that we want to try get done, right? So the Yakuza, the Red Dead, the Pokemon Blue. And we'll just keep moving on. But yeah, that's basically the PhD update for this week. It was a good week. I really can't complain. And I probably missed a whole bunch of stuff, but yeah, I'll see you guys next week.